Counter-Strike 2 is now out. While most people are going to be making videos about recollecting the highlights of CSGO or complaining about CS2's current state, I thought it would be fun to look into the potential future of CS2 esports and talk about the changes that we could be seeing at the highest tier of competition. Now, there are no official matches played on CS2 between pro teams yet, but we do have show matches, which, as we all know, is the pinnacle of competitive Counter-Strike.
Leave him alone! He's only young! Get off him! You meanies!
Don't take this video as speculation of what the CS2 meta is going to be or as a definitive guide, but a time capsule that we could look back on in 5 years and really appreciate how far we've come. The biggest change that we'll most likely be seeing has to do with smokes, which, if you aren't aware, has some new properties and interactions starting with CS2. The main three are the high explosive grenade interactions, the new volumetric property, and the new peek holes. Let's start with the most exciting change that every pro team is currently testing, which is the fact that HGs can now clear smokes for a few seconds.
And him to just hide in, and he has the knife out. They know he's here, they nade him, and they shut him down.
This can lead to a lot of cool team plays where one person throws an HG to clear a smoke, while their teammate looks through and surprises the enemy with some damage or even a pick. And let's be honest, these plays are awesome. Now, while the potential of this nade interaction was demonstrated multiple times to great effect, it makes me very hopeful for the future of team play at the highest level. A prevailing theme across these matches is that pros do not seem to value utilizing HGs to blow up smokes in solo plays. I think a part of the problem is that the pros aren't quite used to throwing HGs without them bouncing, which leads to a lot of moments where they end up giving away their plan and taking a risky 50-50. Other times, throwing a nade not only gives away where you are, but also where you are looking, where it can be especially problematic in clutches. I would expect pros will eventually find HG smoke setups and be able to freehand HGs that don't bounce, but there is another issue, and it's that HGs are just really valuable. While you can get a pick or some damage by peering through a smoke, you could also just get damage by nading your enemies. Not only is this safer, but it's especially important on the CT side where getting some chip damage can easily put your enemies in range to get one tapped by the M4s, or just straight up kill your opponents. Regardless, using an HG for an open duel versus using an HG for free damage is a decision that we're going to see evolve over time, which should be really exciting. But that's not the only way to see through smokes. In CS2, bullets leave a gap where they enter and exit a smoke. Although this concept is super interesting, and I don't doubt that there's some use case that I'm not thinking about, I frankly don't see the potential of this feature, and I don't think the pros do either. The peek holes formed are super small and they are way less telling of your position than the fat tracers exiting the smoke. And it's not even that much of an advantage for those who are shooting through the smoke. Look how little information you gather with each shot. And don't get me started with how little information the enemy gets. Unless they are on the direct receiving end of the bullets, it's way harder to determine the shooting angle of the enemy compared to just looking at where the tracers lead. Even the Negev struggles to make a meaningful impact in this regard. Most of the time, the players in these games would just peek over the smoke and shoot whoever is spamming the smoke rather than counter spam. Of course, there's one saving grace to this. Shotguns can blow open pretty sizable holes in smokes, but they dissipate rather quickly. Obviously, these are show matches and shotguns appear very often, but none of the players in these games actually utilize the smoke busting feature. Considering how little shotguns see use in Counter-Strike, I wouldn't be that surprised if this idea completely falls to the wayside and gets forgotten. Now, although I'm making it seem like CS2 smokes won't have an immediate impact on the game, there is one feature that pros are already taking advantage of, and that's the fact that the smokes are now volumetric, or adaptive, or reactive, or dynamic. I don't know, the smokes bloom better. Basically, CS2 smokes will now react with the environment and try to fill up the space as much as possible. Not only that, smokes have a little bit more volume to them, meaning that areas that previously took 2 smokes to fill now only require 1. The most known smoke that benefits from this is the connector smoke on Mirage, where now 1 smoke can cover the entirety of connector without leaving the annoying one-way. Depending on whether or not you are an ape who only likes to shoot things, or a no-life who likes to maximize every single nade possible, will determine how much you enjoy this change. Regardless, this now saves more utility on both T and CT side, makes it easier to freehand smokes, and with the new lack of skyboxes, makes more lineups possible. But an undervalued aspect that I haven't heard from many people about these new smokes is that because of the fact that they tend to sink down to the ground, the edges of the smokes are not completely filled, meaning that hugging the edges of smokes can lead to this weird angle where you are half covered in smoke, half not. As of October 3rd, 2023, this sinking effect has been made to be even more aggressive, which only accentuates the fact that you can have this weird interaction with the outer edges of the smoke. This has fascinating implications on how this will affect lurking and countering smokes, where a lot of the time, you can sneak around these smokes, being able to see the entire time. Although these matches were played before the new smokes on October 3rd, you can still see pros making the most out of these outer edges. Now, this isn't without its downsides. I don't think I've seen a single player win a duel while on the outskirts of the smoke yet. Maybe it's because of the partial blockage of vision from the smoke, or that the other player predicts that the lurker will make such a play. There seems to be some issue with this tactic. However, just even being able to walk around through smokes like this, combined with the fact that AGs can now clear smokes, opens up so many more options to play around smokes. And I think we can all agree that smoke chaining can be kind of boring sometimes. All in all, I think these changes will greatly enrich high tier and even low tier Counter-Strike. The potential is through the roof with these changes, and I encourage you all to not only find and share smoke lineups, but even potential HE smoke clear lineups and rat smokes. If we could all do that, we could greatly hasten the rate in which CS2 develops strategically and bring out the deep complex potential of the sequel to the game that we love. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys very soon.